Hello, my name is Stephen Denman. My organisation is Shining Guidance. My website is shiningguidance.com. I'd like to talk to you today about the connections between Autism Spectrum Disorder, or ASD, and Native American spirituality. Now, we know that one of the best ways and meanings for those with Autism Spectrum Disorder, ASD, and those who are neurotypical to really develop themselves is through spirituality and certain aspects of religion. And according to many studies, and there are so many, it's no point really going into any intricate details as to who and the where and whys of those, but around 90% of individuals in Canada and the United States of America who have autism spectrum disorder, ASD conditions, believe in the existence of the Lord God Almighty, the multi-dimensional infinite oneness of really the being that we can refer to as the universal creator. Now, many researchers have examined how three different aspects of religion are of somewhat, shall we say, a fascinating demeanour to individuals of autism spectrum disorder, ASD conditions, and these divisions can be separated out into religious beliefs and obviously then religious activities and spiritual development. Now, religious beliefs are a set of ideas and values that concern the relationship of a human being with the universal creator. And each aspect of spirituality really is referring to finding some kind of prevalent meaning, some wider and deeper, more profound understanding of existential kind of, spiritual progression, shall we say, whilst you're here as a human being on planet Earth. And obviously, the experiences that a soul personality requires on its incarnation pathway in the more condensed vibrations of the 3D holographic reality, this material dimension, really are all concerning its perspective, a relationship with the universal creator from beyond space-time, whilst each of those soul personalities incarnates within a corporeal body of a human being here on planet Earth for obviously different experiential reasons. So, from the spiritual perspective of Native Americans, the 3D holographic reality, this material dimension, is defined as is in the same way as Mother Nature, and wherefore the ecosystems of Canada and the United States of America are obviously included in that. And obviously, everything in Mother Nature is displayed in curves and circles, and the same is true about the existence of the Native Americans. And this essentially means American Indians have a very different perspective about the 3D holographic reality of this material dimension as opposed to, shall we say, European American culture. And so that's very interesting to note. And obviously, Native Americans have always been emotionally and psychologically comfortable with the idea that planet Earth is inherently chaotic and in a state of upheaval. I believe that true health comes from finding balance in that upheaval, as truth is not a fixed point and is rather a consistently evolving point of equilibrium for American Indians. And that constantly developing point of equilibrium is perpetually formed and perpetually resonating. Hence, the communities of Native Americans have collective beliefs that are sometimes phrased as metamorphic ontology. And this means they deny the existence of a single perspective or single interpretation. For those American Indians with autism spectrum disorder, ASD conditions, having such perspectives therefore represents an emotional and psychological challenge because of their neurological differences to their more neurotypical, relatives. So the American Indian tribes, such as the Mohican Indians, the Iroquois Confederacy Indians, the Cherokee Indians, the Shawnee Indians, the Osage Indians, and the Wichita Confederacy Indians, Apache Indians, and the Cheyenne Indians, as with the many other American Indian tribes, have very deeply profound spiritual beliefs that are fundamentally rooted in the ideas of a multi-layered and ever-changing physical universe. Hence, with this in mind, we need to remember the 3D holographic reality of the material dimension is ever changing in the thoughts of Native Americans, and therefore they have no fixated concept of normal or abnormal. The common thread, really, of many Native American tribes, therefore, is their potency and their collective ability to embrace difference in a variety of ways without being judgmental, and therefore creating an inclusion for all those American Indians who do have autism spectrum disorder, ASD conditions, and helping them with their emotional and psychological issues. So the concept of disability does not really exist for American Indians, and therefore any Native American who has autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions is never judged or ridiculed because of their neurological condition. Not even one of the American Indian languages have an original word for disabled or disability, and the closest word in any of the languages of the Native Americans is derived from the phrase of simply being different. These customs resonate as part of the tribal medicine of Native Americans who focus on maintaining a balance between mind, body, and spirit. Wellness in Native American culture is defined as a wholeness of existence where every aspect for any individual is fully interconnected and interwoven with Mother Nature and the communities of American Indian tribes, the ancestral spirits, the astral spirits, and the elementals of the North American continent. Now, the Mohican Indians, the Iroquois Confederacy Indians, the Cherokee Indians, the Shawnee Indians, the Osage Indians, the Wichita Confederacy Indians, Apache Indians, and Cheyenne Indians, as with many Native American tribes from elsewhere on the North American continent, have always focused on the mind, the body, and the spirit, as these concepts directly stem from their religious beliefs. So you have to understand, because the American Indians do not have the stark binary perspective of normal and abnormal, which has really come from the dominant European American culture. Those Native Americans with autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions, they find they're going to have some kind of internal mental conflict because it's innate within those tribal communities to express that openness where there isn't that binary normal and abnormal division. But from the perspective of any individual who is an American Indian who has autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions, them trying to conceive that with their neurological condition could be a struggle. Now, the communities of Native Americans are much more tolerant of mental health issues and disabilities, and obviously neurological conditions, because of a deeply embedded and enrooted cultural belief that altered mental states bring better connections to the astral plane and therefore the spirit world. This also comes with an understanding that different mental capacities bring new types of learning into the communities of the Native Americans. Additionally, many of the American Indian cultures believe that disability or difference, shall we say, is the result of an unsettled set of objectives that any soul personality has to accomplish or experience within the 3D holographic reality of this material dimension, obviously once they've incarnated in a physical body here. So any evaluation of the connections between autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions and Native American spirituality must take into account the fact that individuals who have autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions are sometimes not conscious of their interactions with, shall we say, the American Indian astral guides or other types of spiritual teachers who reside in the 4D holographic reality of the astral plane. So we know that there is very clear and direct connections between autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions and Native Americans, and it's very interesting to note the way that the American Indian cultures try to integrate and create a sense of unity and inclusion, a sense of shall we say, social oneness with those individuals who have autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions, who are not alienated, who are not ostracized, who are not looked at as being different or weird or abnormal. And that's a fantastic learning curve that many other individuals, shall we say, in both world cultures and world folklore could really learn from by looking at the different tribal communities of American Indians, on the North American continent, and really learning from those fantastic individuals, their different traditional perspectives, their customs, and their collective spiritual beliefs in regards to, bringing into the fold those that are maybe seen as disabled or having a disability by the more dominant European American culture. So I thought I'd put this information out there. I think it's valid and it's relevant. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. It's certainly been very enjoyable presenting this information to you. And there's not really that much information out there being, shall we say, broadcast on the internet in video content concerning connections between autism spectrum disorder ASD conditions and the Native Americans. So I thought I'd put this information out there. And I hope you've enjoyed watching this. I've certainly enjoyed presenting this information to you, and there'll be many more videos to come in the near future. And on that note, folks, thank you so much for watching, and I will speak to you all soon.